Hello students, let us take up plasma proteins. Not a very tough topic, but quite an essential component of blood. Now when it comes to plasma proteins, doctors, we have plenty and plenty of plasma proteins, but still our textbooks emphasize mostly about three proteins: albumin, globulin as well as fibrinogen. Why so much of importance to just these three proteins? Why not all other proteins? Because when it comes to plasma protein composition, these three fellows, albumin, globulin and fibrinogen, plays the significant effect, and most important functions are carried over by these three proteins, albumin, globulin as well as fibrinogen, which is exactly why our textbooks emphasizes enormously about these three proteins, people. It is essential that you got to know in and out about these three proteins, and it is good that you know something and what is what about rest of the proteins, guys. So when it comes to the site of synthesis of plasma proteins, especially albumin, globulin and fibrinogen, majority of proteins are getting synthesized by liver. Alright, liver is the dominant organ which synthesizes plasma proteins. Now, apart from liver, we have one another cell that involves in plasma protein synthesis, especially a part of globulin called as immunoglobulins. Right? I emphasize this point, doctors. Remember, liver involves in synthesis of almost all plasma proteins. While when it comes to plasma cells, I hope you are familiar with your discussion with immunity videos. You know what a plasma cell is about, isn't it? So we have a B lymphocyte that gets converted into plasma cell with suitable activation by antigens. When B lymphocytes gets converted to plasma cells, these plasma cells are the one that involves in synthesis of a fraction of globulin called as immunoglobulins. Alright. So while immunoglobulins are synthesized by plasma cells, which is derived from lymphocyte, majority of rest, all of the proteins are getting synthesized by liver, doctors. So remember, it is liver and plasma cells. Now coming to albumin. Normal body albumin content is about 3.5 to 5.3 gram per deciliter. Now there is a small point you got to understand. When it comes to values, people, it is better to remember the values in an easier format rather than trying to remember the values very accurately. For example, let us take up albumin values 3.5 to 5.3. Two numerics 3, 5, 5, 3. Simple. Remember, albumin concentration in body is about 3.5 to 5.3 gram per deciliter. Do you come across or have you come across such a kind of numerics, people? 3.5 to 5.3? Yes, you're right. It's going to be the same kind of value for potassium as well. Normal body potassium is 3.5 to 5.3, extracellular fluid potassium, alright. Normal blood levels of potassium, normal ECF levels of potassium is 3.5 to 5.3 milliequivalents per deciliter, while albumin value is 3.5 to 5.3 gram per deciliter. Now coming to exchangeable albumin. Not every single albumin molecule is seen within the plasma itself. We have good amount of albumin that gets distributed in the skin. Some amount of albumin is seen inside the cell in intracellular compartment as well. Alright, on the whole, the albumin available for exchange between different compartments, from skin to blood vessel, from blood vessel to intracellular compartment. So the quantity of albumin involved in exchangeable values is 4 to 5 gram per kilogram body weight. Alright, 4 to 5 gram per kilogram body weight. This is exchangeable quantity of albumin. Out of this exchangeable quantity, majority of albumin is seen in plasma. Nearly 50% of albumin is seen in plasma people. Alright, the exact value is 35 to 48%, but understand this way, about 50%, half of the body albumin is seen within blood vessel in the plasma. Remainder half is equally distributed between cells, which means intracellular fluid, as well as in the skin. Alright, remainder is in the skin and some amount of albumin is seen within the cell as well. Coming to synthesis, hepatic synthesis of albumin is about 200 to 400 milligram per kilogram body weight per day. 200 to 400 milligram per kilogram body weight. Alright, per day, doctors. Which means daily we will be losing 200 to 400 milligram per kilogram of body weight albumin. As we lose 200 to 400 milligram by metabolism or by denaturation or by losing of tertiary structure, by any means, as we keep losing albumin, liver keeps producing albumin. That's very important point. As and when body albumin is getting lost, simultaneously albumin is getting synthesized by liver, thereby the loss is compensated by synthesis so that albumin level in the body is getting maintained in a constant fraction.